Welcome to this video where we're going to speak about what do we know about Esau or Edom. Now if you don't know why Esau's name was changed to Edom, please maybe do some reading first, or if you'd like to, maybe watch this video part 5 where we try to build a bit of a foundation on Esau. Not extensive, but just to get a bit of an idea of Esau. But in this video I want to think about the wives of Esau, how that could influence our investigation. Because the first wife, Judith, we're told that she was daughter of Beeri the Hittite, and her mother, Anath, was a Hivite. So with this marriage, Esau is maybe trying to form an alliance with the Hittites and the Hivites, descendants of Canaan, descendants of Ham. So Esau marrying into the line of Ham. And the second wife, we learn that she was, so if we go with this name, Adah, she was daughter of Elon the Hittite. And this union brought about Eliphaz, called Esau's firstborn. And we're going to speak more about Eliphaz because his sons, he has some very famous sons. Now, if we think about the first series, I've just put some points about what did we learn about the Hittites from our first series. And we learned that we're told that they spoke an Indo-European language, that they were an Anatolian people, and we learned that potentially the Anatolian was the oldest branch of this Indo-European language. So the Hittites influencing all the languages that could be in this family. We also learned about one of the scholars describing them that they were a Turco-Tartar people. We had scholars describing them having a Mongolian appearance and stature, and we had that connection with the Kittim, this empire in northern China, and China was known by some kingdoms as Cathay. So was that the influence of the Hittites? We had a researcher asking the question, were the Hittites Hindu? So was the influence of the Hittites on northern India? And that's interesting because we learn about the Hittites invoking the Vedic gods. So were the Hittites an Aryan nation? And we had a scholar that was doing an investigation with the Hittites and the Etruscans, the Etruscan civilization in Italy. So we learned from the first series that the Hittites had a great influence in the ancient world in lots of different spheres, in lots of different regions. Now, the reason why I'm bringing this up is because we can maybe think about Esau from this angle. You know, how would the intermarriage with the Hittites affect the appearance of the Edomites? But also, if we think about this, what spheres could this bring the Edomites into with this alliance with the Hittites? And maybe these Edomites would be able to fit in different spheres, and this alliance with the Hittites could also bring the Edomites into these different spheres. So I thought that could be interesting for this investigation. So we'll try to think about this and maybe come back to this in the video. Now the third wife, Mahalath, she was the daughter of Ishmael. So we also have the Edomites intermarrying with the Ishmaelites. So that's also very interesting. And we learn from the book of Jasher that the Edomites intermarried with the Horites in the country of Zaired, and this belonged to the Horites, the land of Zaired of the Bible. Now we see it spelled S-E-I-R, but the way you pronounce that, Seir, is very similar to this country that we spoke about in the video, this highlighted area called Zaired. Now some of the viewers were interested in this connection for the land of Edom, but others were skeptical. But I think it's very interesting to consider this as an alternate option for the land of Edom, not just because of the similarity of the name, but also we spoke about this map, how this cartographer put Agag on the map in a few different locations here near Zaired. And you know from the Bible that Agag was king of the Amalekites, and we're going to mention Amalek. You see here that Amalek is a son of Eliphaz, and we know Eliphaz is the firstborn son of Esau. So why did the cartographer put Agag here? It's very interesting. We're going to speak about one of these sons of Eliphaz, Zepho, because it's a very famous son, but mainly because of the book of Jasher. If we didn't have the book of Jasher, we wouldn't really know too much about Zepho, and we also wouldn't really know too much about the early history of Edom without the book of Jasher, because it gives us lots of stories about the Edomites, and also different stories that we don't really get from the Bible. But I must say, for myself, I'm still not sure what to make of the book of Jasher, because it's got some very interesting stories, but also some strange stories. I'm still not 100% sure what to make of it, and I definitely wouldn't believe everything that's written in it wholeheartedly. But I don't think we can ignore it because of the story that we get with Zepho, because it is very interesting. And I said in our first series that if these stories are true, then we should find evidence for it. So that's what we're going to try to do in this investigation. Now, I've given the chapters that you need to read to get the whole story, or most of the story of Zepho, so chapter 60 to 64, and also chapter 90, because it's too much to read. We can't really do that in this video. But I've just picked out the main points of the story of Zepho. So please read these chapters if you want to know, if you haven't read the story, because I can't really explain all the history, but what we learn is that Zepho, this descendant of Esau, is a prisoner in Egypt, and then he flees to Angeas, king of Africa, which is Dinhabah. So now we have a descendant of Esau fleeing to Africa. But why is he doing that? If we think about what we've been presented with, we're told this is a theoretical map, but they're saying that Edom, is to the south of the modern state of Israel. If we think about the map, if he's a prisoner in Egypt, why doesn't he flee to Edom, to the homeland? It's not very far away. Why does he flee to Africa? And in our previous video, we spoke about Africa with Josephus, that it could be referring to Libya, ancient Libya. But I also think about how the Romans viewed the world, because to the Romans, from what I've learned and read, what they thought of Africa was more, this region of Tunisia, this Tunisia and this North Africa. So I'm leaning that way a bit more, that maybe Zepho is fleeing to Angeas, king of Africa, but maybe it's this ancient empire of Carthage that it's speaking about. That's how I feel about it. I don't know what you think about some of these details. So I think if the story is true, Zepho is fleeing to Angeas, king of Africa, but I think it could be speaking about, it's either speaking about Libya or speaking about maybe Tunisia, and maybe this kingdom of Carthage. So I'll explain why maybe I'm thinking that. Now, Dinhabah is actually in the Bible. In Genesis 36, we're told that it's the capital of King Bela ben Beor, and he was king of the Edomites. But it says that it was an Edomite city, but was it in the territory of Edom, or was it somewhere else, and this king was ruling from a city that wasn't actually in Edom? So I'm not sure about that. But other historians say that there was a Dinhabah near Palmyra, and a Dinhabah in Babylonia. And you see I highlighted here, they say it might mean robber's den, so a place of robbers, which is interesting if you think about the Edomites. So we can't be sure exactly, who is this king of Africa, because there's different theories about who is this Angeas and where is Dinhabah. But let me explain why I think it could be Carthage, because we then learn that Zepho becomes king over Kittim. So he leaves Angeas, king of Africa, and then he becomes king over the Kittim. And Kittim is a descendant of Javan, descendant of Japheth. So now we're seeing a descendant of Esau coming into the realm of Japheth, into the realm of the Kittim. And in the book of Jasher, it tells us that the Kittim were living in Italy. So many people connect the Kittim with, or many scholars connect the Kittim with the Romans. So that's why I'm thinking about Carthage, because this could be a great rivalry if we think about the geography, with the closeness and the proximity with Tunisia and Italy. You can see that there would be an ancient rivalry between this for control of this Mediterranean. So that's what I'm thinking about with this story, that Angeas, king of Africa, might be connected to this ancient kingdom of Carthage, and these wars between the king of Africa and the Kittim, could be wars between the Kittim in Italy and the King Angeas of Africa. But interesting how Zepho is moving in these different spheres. If we think about that, he's coming into Africa, but then he's also coming to the Kittim, the descendants of Japheth. So that's why I was just thinking about this, starting with this angle of the wives intermarrying with the Hittites, how that could affect their appearance, but also, what spheres it could bring the Edomites into. And we see how we did have this one here with the Etruscans and Italy, and we see a descendant of Esau coming to the Kittim, which could have been in Italy. Now this last part is probably one of the important parts of this. It says that Edom became one kingdom with the Kittim. So we learn that there were mighty wars between the Edomites and the Kittim, and the descendants of Kittim, or let's say the Kittim, they actually, they defeated the Edomites. Let's just read that part because that's quite important. So it says, "And the children of Kittim continued their pursuit of Edom, and they smote them with a great slaughter, and Edom became subject to the children of Kittim. And the children of Kittim ruled over Edom, and Edom became under the hand of the children of Kittim, and became one kingdom from that day." So very important how it describes them becoming one kingdom. But the Kittim would have been the dominant party. They were ruling over Edom. So now we have a connection between the descendants of Japheth and the Edomites. And that's what I was saying. If this is true, we need to find evidence for it. There should be evidence for it. So that's what we're going to try and investigate. So I know I've only given you the very brief points here, so you would need to read these chapters to know the story. But it's very interesting history for the Edomites if it's true, and it gives us an idea of what was happening with the Edomites in this ancient world, and also what spheres they were coming into. And I was reading a scholar that was speaking about why did the Bible give a whole chapter to the kings of Edom? It doesn't do that for the other descendants of Abraham, like the Ishmaelites or the sons of Keturah. The Edomites get a whole page. I think it might be Genesis 36, I think. But why does it give us all those details with all those kings? It must be showing that Edom was a great kingdom. And we also learn from the Bible and also the book of Jasher about how the Edomites went to make war on Moab, to make Moab a tributary. So the land of Moab also became a part of the territory of Edom, and they also made war against the Midianites in the land of Moab and conquered the Midianites. So Edom would have been a very great kingdom. So it just makes me wonder about what we've been presented with this region and this territory. Is this really the true picture? So I'm still considering this Zaired, and maybe Edom being a very great kingdom, but we obviously need to find more information and more evidence, because we don't really have anything concrete to support this. It's more of a feeling and trying to get it's more of a feeling about what you think is true or what makes more sense. But we have got a whole series speaking about this and approaching this and giving our theory about the descendants of Shem and sub-Saharan Africa. So it doesn't stand on its own, because it's also based on lots of other work as well. So what do you think about the Edomites? Let me know if you have any thoughts or knowledge that you'd like to share. But I just wanted to maybe look at it from a different angle, with looking at the wives. And we have to think about the Hittites, the Hivites, the Horites, but also the Ishmaelites for Esau. And what do you think about the story of Jasher? If you haven't read it, what do you think about this connection with the Edomites and Kittim, or these descendants of Japheth, potentially the Romans, and becoming one kingdom? So that could be important. So we're going to try to do another part for this investigation, or maybe a mini-series, we'll see. So thank you for watching this video, and in the next video we'll try to speak more about Esau, and can we find any evidence on the historical record to support some of these things. So thank you for watching this video, and we'll see you in the next one.